City Outdoors. Thanks for joining me on day 5 of our 5-day kayaking 101 class. And tonight what we're going to do is we're talking about where to paddle in Houston. And in case we haven't met, I'm Kelly Howard. I'm with Bayou City Outdoors, and let's just jump right in. First thing tonight is that I'm not just going to sit here and recite a whole bunch of places for you to go paddle, okay? I will link a couple of places or a couple of good websites at the bottom that you can find some different places around town to go. But what I would like is that you have a opportunity to know some of the better places to just get out, get easy access, easy to get to, fun to paddle at. So by area of town, first one I'd like to start with is east side of town. This is Sheldon Lake, and it's kind of east side off of I-10. We've paddled there quite a bit as BCO, and it's really pretty. Lots of old cypress trees in the water, water lilies, easy to jump in and just get going from there. So Cypress Lake, Sheldon Lake is a big favorite. Another one, like on the south, is Armand Bayou. And Armand Bayou, you can launch from Bay Area Park and just launch right into the bayou and head either direction. It's super still. There's no moving water here, so you can go left, right, up river, down river, however you want to do it. And Armand Bayou it's really lush. It's been there forever, and it has like lots of trees hanging over. Probably one of its claim to fame there are a few alligators in there, which tend to make people less likely to want to paddle there. But I mean, it's really pretty, and the alligators, just so you know, like alligators won't chase you down. They won't go after you, but you just don't want to bother them, and you definitely don't want to be around them when they have babies. I know one time, first time I was in the water paddling, I was at a tandem kayak, and I had no idea that there were alligators there. And we saw an alligator, and it was like, wow, let's go look at it, right? So we paddle over toward it, and that gator just like slapped the water with its tail, and yeah, I squealed and started back paddling so fast you can't believe it. But they don't come after you. They're just doing their thing. But Armand Bayou is beautiful. Another one is on the southwest part of town, which is Oyster Creek. And Oyster Creek, once again, it's another one of those that has a lot of trees on the sides of the bayou, depending upon, I think, further downstream. If you go further upstream, it's a lot more residential, but it's very pretty. And you can launch from Oyster Creek Park, or you can launch from a couple of small areas that are just north of I-59 out there, Interstate 59. Another one that's central, Brays Bayou. Brays Bayou has a new launch point, or a relatively new launch point, over in Idlewood. And Idlewood is located on Wayside and 45. So Wayside and 45, Wayside is also called 90. Idlewood is an little old neighborhood that's there. And if you drive down to the park in Idlewood and just kind of like peer over to the bank, you'll see the launch right down there at the bottom. And Brays Bayou is really pretty. I mean, it's paddled downstream. So as you launch, you'll be launching to the left. And just go paddling downstream, it gets a lot lusher down there. And I mean, you can take any of our bayous to actually the ship channel, but you don't want to go that far. So just, Brays Bayou is a nice one for kind of an inner city paddle. Another one is Buffalo Bayou. I mean, Buffalo Bayou is super well known. You can launch from Allen Brothers Landing, and which was basically the beginning of Houston, right? And you can just put in right there, paddle upstream. If you paddle upstream to the Watt Street Bridge, you'll be able to do that at sunset, and you can see all the bats that come out, kind of hang back a little bit from the bridge, because they pour out at sunset. And if you're around in August, I think it's August 18th, we have a BCO paddle that's going to be from about Sabine Bridge. We paddle up to the Bats, and everybody hangs out, watches the Bats, and then we paddle back. I think we call it Bats, Boats, and Brew, and we go out and have a beer afterwards. So that's always a fun one. There is also, hang on just a second, completely lost that one. So another one that is actually a great paddle is Lake Woodlands. And Lake Woodlands is north side of town, obviously. One of the fun things that you can do at Lake Woodlands is actually set in at North Shore Park, and then you just paddle across the lake, and you'll be at the little auditorium that they have over there, or the auditorium that they have over there. And at that auditorium, you'll be able to hear all the concerts from the water. We've done this 2 or 3 times where we just like everybody packs picnic lunches or dinners or brews or whatever you want, and paddles over there and just hangs out and listens to the music. It's a fun way to paddle. Now, one thing to be careful about is they do lock the gates at a certain period of time at night, so you might need to leave your car outside of the North Shore Park. But that's just a fun thing to do in a paddle boat or a kayak or anything you want to use it on. All of these are real simple, easy, just easy to access different paddles around town. There's a ton of places. I mean, literally, we are the Bayou City, right? So we have hundreds of miles of paddling here in town and just outside of town. So you can certainly just like look around and find all kinds of places. Excuse me for just one second. Let me look down and see. I don't think I have any. I'm handling my own technology this week, which is always scary. So if anybody leaves comments, I may have to catch up with you afterwards because I don't always catch them on my phone while I'm doing this. So those are some of the quick ones. Some other ones that are really, other places that are a little different are like going to Galveston and paddling in the surf. I mean, we don't really have surf in Galveston, right? Like, I mean, in general. So what you want to do though is when you're going out in the surf, always make sure that you're like perpendicular to the waves, because you don't want to get sideways, because that's when you get pushed over. But you can just paddle out through the waves and then turn around and paddle back in. And it's fun. I mean, it's lots of fun to do that. Other things that you can do around town, if you're in Galveston, you can paddle in Offutt's Bayou. And Offutt's Bayou is the bayou that is right at 61st and I think 45. But that's a beautiful place to paddle. Another place to paddle is, well, one thing, be careful when you're paddling places like Offutt's, because there is traffic and boat traffic. So you want to really keep an eye out for that. If you're in Clear Lake, same thing. I mean, there's real boat traffic in Clear Lake, so you want to avoid getting in the middle of any of that. So keep those safety tips in mind when you're paddling. If you're ever on the opposite side of Galveston Bay, over by the east side, then there is Double Bayou over there. It's kind of up toward the northeast side, and you'd have to look this up on a map to get there. But it's beautiful. I mean, you just paddle up this bayou that just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's right off of Galveston Bay, and I mean, it's a fun paddle over there. A couple of others that you might keep in mind would be Dickinson Bayou, another, kind of old bayou, not terribly overgrown, or not terribly overdeveloped, so it's got a lot of growth on it. It's beautiful. Okay, other than that, I don't want to just sit here and ramble off about bayous, but keep in mind, like the ones that I can say that are super easy to access, easy to go out for a quick day paddle. Think about Buffalo Bayou from Allen's Landing, Brays Bayou from Idlewood, Oyster Creek from Oyster Creek Park, Armand Bayou from Bay Area Park, and then Sheldon Lake off of I-10. And I will give you lots of links in the follow-up, because there's just some really good, Texas A&M did a great job on putting together some paddling trails, and I will make sure that we get that into the notes for you. In the meanwhile, if you're a BCO member, we'll have several paddles in June and July that are just training paddles. I think in June it'll be middle of June on a Saturday and a Sunday, and same thing in July. Also, we've got the whitewater kayaking class coming up in June and July. Both of those are beginner classes. I mean, it's a great way to learn to paddle. Whether or not you ever want to do whitewater, it's just a great way to learn to paddle. And they're fundraisers for Team River Runner. If you're not a member yet, then go to BayouCityOutdoors.com and click on join, and it will take you to the wait list. The membership's not open right this minute, but it will be in June, and waitlist people are always the first to know. So thank you so much for being here with me for these 5 days. And if you've got any questions, leave them below. I'll post my links for you, and I will see you out on the water. Thank you. Take care now.